Hello, how are you doing today? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you've read the scripture for the day. In today's video, we're going to look at the industry forces. We know that after industrial analysis, the next thing is to check and assess the impact of Porter's 5 forces on the industry. The collective strength of these forces determines the ultimate profit potential in the industry. So, how much these forces have impacted your industry will determine how much profit you can actually gain from this industry. Where profit potential is measured in terms of long-term return on invested capital. Understanding the forces helps the company to find a position in the industry where the company can best defend itself against these competitive strategies. So when you understand the market forces, these 5 forces, Porter's 5 forces, you are able to come up with the best position in which you will situate yourself, or you can be able to come up with the best strategy to help you overcome the challenges. So a company is able to find a position in the industry where the company can best defend itself against the competitive forces, or that can influence them in its favor. Sometimes you don't need to just defend yourself from these forces, but maybe you can turn them into opportunities and use them in your favor. Once the forces affecting competition in the industry and their underlying causes have been diagnosed, and you've identified these causes, the firm is in a position to identify its strengths and weaknesses relative to the industry. So if you maybe analyze these forces and find out the issue was an internal issue, you go deep down and find out, and then you realize it was actually just a company weakness. So you're able to find out the company strengths and the company weaknesses through evaluating these 5 forces. What are these 5 forces that we're talking about? The 5 forces for analyzing competition in the industry include threat of new entrants, bargaining power of suppliers, the bargaining power of customers, the threat of substitutes, and the rivalry of firms in the industry. So we're going to look at these in detail. No need to fret. So the first force is the threat of new entrants. The ease of entry. So when you have like threat of new entrants, this is where the industry is already established, say the banking industry, and then you are scared. The fact that there are very many people, very many more companies, more banks coming up every day means there is ease of entry in that industry. So what is ease of entry? Ease of entry refers to how easy or difficult it is for a new firm to begin competing in the industry. How easy it is to establish your firm in this industry, or how difficult it can be for you to establish your firm in a certain industry. That is ease of entry. The ease of entry into an industry is important because it determines the likelihood that a company will face new competitors. So this is for the existing companies. When there is ease of entry, that means you're going to face new competitors. In industries that are easy to enter, sources of competitive advantage tend to wane quickly. So you really have like less competitive advantage because there are very many companies that can actually come in and compete with you. On the other hand, in industries that are difficult to enter, the sources of competitive advantage last longer, and firms also tend to benefit from having a constant set of competitors. So when there is difficulty to enter these markets, you realize that you're going to, for example, you may be, for example, a monopoly. If we look at the telecommunication industry in Uganda, I want to say there is a difficulty for new firms to enter this industry because every time there is a new firm that comes in, it is either absorbed, it is acquired or something, and over the time we keep hearing Airtel and MTN and the other firms are insignificant. The other firms are just small firms, and most of them don't last a long period of time. So there is really difficulty in this industry to enter this industry. So when you have such a situation, you're going to realize that the existing companies are going to turn out to be monopolies, and they'll have they'll have competitive advantage. The competitive advantage will last longer, and they'll benefit from the fact that they have constant set of competitors. I mean, nobody new is coming up, so these constant set of competitors just having the old methods, using the old, so they know how to go about them. The ease of entry into an industry depends upon two factors: the reaction of existing competitors to new entrants, and the barriers to market entry that prevail in the industry. How are you going to react to these new entrants? The fact that there is a new bank in town, how are you going to react to that as an existing bank? And then the barriers to market entry that prevail in the industry. So there are two factors that affect the ease of entry: the reaction of the existing companies, I mean competitors, and the barriers to market entry that are already in the industry. Still handling threat of new entrants. Existing competitors are most likely to react strongly against new entrants when there is a history of such behavior. When the competitors have invested substantial resources in the industry, okay, these are reasons. Remember, I said there are two factors that affect, and one of them was the reactions from the existing competitors. So they are giving you circumstances under which the existing competitors may react. First of all, they are telling us they may react if this has been the habit. So it is just a habit that they keep doing. If there has been a history of such behavior, that it has grown into a habit, and they react strongly against these new entrants. The other reason could be when the competitors have invested substantial resources in the industry, and the other is when the industry is characterized by slow growth. So the other point number two was barriers to entry. So they are telling us some of the major barriers to market entry include economies of scale, high capital requirements, switching costs for the customer, limited access to the channels of distribution, a high degree of product differentiation, and restrictive government policy. So maybe the government has tight policies on entry on in a in a certain market, so you have to follow this and follow that and follow that. So these may restrict the new entrants. Or maybe it is actually a light policy, and then it allows more entrants in the market. So this could be two ways. If the question says discuss, you can always bring the two sides. Then you have high degree of product differentiation. There are differences. The products are not similar. So if there's a high degree of product differentiation, even this new company coming in the industry is going to bring new products. So that could maybe lead to ease of entry, because it is going to be easy for these companies to come in because they know they are still going to be able to operate however much there is this dominant company. But if you're going to come in and you're going to produce the same products like the existing companies, my friend, there's going to be an issue somewhere. So you may not really work out the way you thought you would. Switching costs for the customers. Some customers, if your products are way overpriced, or the switching costs to your products are really high, customers are not going to shift. They're going to remain with their previous suppliers, previous manufacturers, and they may not be able to switch to your products, which may not enable you to work well. So when you look at all these factors, you're like, I'll not enter this industry. So it can limit, and the reverse is also true. So those points are also explained here, like I've been explaining. We have economies of scale. We can still go through them briefly. Economies of scale, lower unit costs make it difficult for smaller newcomers to break into the market and compete effectively. High capital requirements, high costs will deter entry. Yes, obviously, if the costs are really high, you're not going to want to enter that market. You'd rather go for one with low cost. Switching costs, I've talked about that. Limited access to the channels of distribution, just like it states. If you cannot access your suppliers, how are you going to be able to survive in the market? So if there is limited access to the channels of distribution, you are going to want to, restrain this whole. Yeah. Then degree of product differentiation. Existing products with strong brand increase customer loyalty. So it is difficult for newcomers to gain a market share. For example, Coca-Cola, they have built what they call customer loyalty. People are loyal to these brands, Coca-Cola and then Pepsi too. However, I think they are more loyal to Coca-Cola. No sides here, but just Just saying, I think people are more loyal to the Coca-Cola brand. Yeah, so people, if a new company comes up and there is this new soda, I am saying I'm just giving examples and I'm not taking any sides, and my opinions are not biased. Yes, my opinions are not biased. Either way, you can give your own opinions. So there is this new brand of soda, I think it's Skyview. I'm not sure which company makes Skyview, but there is that Skyview. So most people look at Skyview and they're like, so they haven't really, how do I put it? It is hard for people to just shift from this brand they're used to because they've already built customer loyalty. They are loyal to their manufacturers, loyal to this brand, and they feel like it would be betrayal if they shifted. And the other reason is they probably haven't seen the advantages of this other brand. They're not yet trusted, they haven't trusted it as well as yet, so they just stick to the old brand, and that way the newcomers are going to have a really tough time in the market. Then we have government policies. Like I said, if there is the tight policies, maybe you have patents, and then the patent holder has protections, and so on and so on. These things are going to limit entry. So we shall look at the next force in my next video, bargaining power of suppliers. Please make sure you subscribe so that you do not miss out. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and you will be notified anytime a video is up. Nice time.